supremacists, they don't really scare me. I know, like, we kind of should be scared because, like, they're.
The motivations behind white supremacy are a little bit difficult for many people to understand, especially those who grew up in cities. But generally, what you'll find is that the reason why white supremacists are the way that they are is because they are looking for something to be proud of. And if you grow up in a city, you have so much that you can be proud of to where you often don't get to that point. So you can be proud of your neighborhood, your high school, your college teams, professional sports teams in your area. You can be proud of the city itself, or you can be proud of things like celebrities who came from your city, or popular chain restaurants. And if you grew up in, rural Idaho, there isn't very much of that. And for that reason, people then turn to being proud of something that they are a part of. And when they run out of things to be proud of, then they turn to race. This is why white supremacists often contradict themselves. For instance, declaring that they are the superior race, but somehow also believing in the conspiracy theory that the world has been controlled by the Jews, or that Mexicans are taking all of their jobs. The two can't be true, and the reason why they say this is because they cannot come to terms with their own mediocrity. It would destroy their own self-esteem, and for that reason, they have to blame someone else for their problems. What doesn't help is that a great deal of these people have not been very well educated, and for that reason, many of them have been taught a very reductive or simply inaccurate version of American history. For instance, a great deal of white supremacists believe in the glory days of the 1940s and 50s, but they aren't aware, or they're simply willfully ignorant of the circumstances and conditions that led to those said glory days. For example, the reason why the American economy was doing so well back then was because the factories in Europe and Asia had all been destroyed during the Second World War. The reason why there was such a high demand for labor back then was because so many men died from the war and so many women simply did not want to return to the workforce. A lot of white supremacists either don't know or choose not to hear that, and for that reason, they tend to feel like they have been neglected or forgotten. And this is where you get things like replacement theory, the idea that they are being replaced by whatever it is on the news because they are no longer considered important. Now, as someone who's half Asian and a minority, I've found this incredibly difficult to relate to because I've never felt represented in politics. In fact, I am so forlorn to the idea that I will never see representation in politics. It's internalized within me. Yet I did meet someone who was a Trump supporter in 2020, not a white supremacist, just a Trump supporter. And they told me right after the election results in 2020 that they cried because they felt like they were no longer represented in government anymore. And this blew my mind because I'm like, you have the governorship, you have the lieutenant governor, you have the attorney general, you have all these, politicians who represent you and your values. And losing the presidency is enough for you to feel disenfranchised. And I can extrapolate from that white supremacists probably felt like they lost a great deal of representation, either when Barack Obama was elected president or when Trump lost the presidency in 2020. So how do white supremacists react to the world as it changes? Well, sometimes they get violent, sometimes they get militant, sometimes they try to revise history in a way that fits their narrative. But generally speaking, when the white population of America feels threatened, they tend to broaden the range of what is considered white, which is why Irish people today are considered white, which is why Italians are considered white, or Greeks, or Slavs. A few decades ago, they weren't. And now, in order to increase their numbers, they are let into the club, as it were. The reality, though, is that white supremacists in general are just pathetic. They are very insecure and afraid people. They feel disenfranchised, neglected, and unimportant. And being a white supremacist is a way for them to feel purpose. And if we can somehow give them something to be proud of, give them some sort of sense of purpose, then they can be brought out of this mindset and they can be made better people to lead more fulfilling lives in the future.